What is up? Welcome back to Softcore History. I am your host for the week, Rob Fox, joined as always by Dan Regester.
I'm excited for this week.
Yeah, now you may be confused. Wait a minute. If you're a regular listener to the show, wait a minute.
Why is Rob going back to back?
Why would Rob do two mains in a row? They switch every week. Well, I forgot that I wasn't main this week.
Kind of big dicked me. You're like, you know what? My topic's better.
We were
despite me not knowing the topic.
We were sitting here, and I looked over, and he had his laptop open, and my laptop open, and I was like, "Wait, what are you doing?" I thought I was main. And you're like, "No. Do you not remember what happened 7 days ago?"
Yeah.
The answer is no.
The answer is always no.
The answer is always fucking no. But yeah, I was like, let's do this one, man. It's sexy. It's sexy.
And I didn't feel great about my topic, honestly. I didn't mail it in, but it seems better for the Patreon.
Okay. It's a Patreon coded
Yes.
episode. Patreon.com/softcore history.
Check it out.
Where if you subscribe, it's 2 extra episodes a week plus a sports show on the higher tier. It's awesome. And there's a 4 or 5 year back catalog of evergreen content. And if you're into audiobooks, we have about an audiobook's worth of sketches, a short audio, but I like 2 hours worth of audio sketches. They're really fun. So check all that out. But we're here to talk about history today. I was workshopping a couple titles for this, and the only 2 I could come up with, and maybe we'll do a different one because you veto a lot of my titles.
I do. They get left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah. G.I. Ho.
Probably going to pass on that.
And your grandpa was a dirty slut.
I like that better. Yeah.
Well, we need to incorporate World War II into it somehow. Also, most people's grandpas weren't in World War II at this point. You have to be like middle millennial or up.
Might also be able to catch some of that SEO.
Yeah. Also, your grandpa wasn't even in World War II.
Korea.
Yeah.
My mother's dad, maybe? No, I think he was also in Korea. He was a deep sea diver.
Could have been World War II.
Mm-hmm. But still, he was in those giant fucking suits, the Bioshock suits.
Yeah, you basically had to be born like 1928, 27 to be in World War II.
Yeah, I don't know.
So if you're born in the 30s, I mean, that's not true. In America, you had to be born. In Russia or Germany or Japan, you could be born in like 1936, and they'll slap a uniform on you by the end.
Also, it's not true. In World War II, we had plenty of like teens that were out there lying about their age.
There were a few, but not as many.
They slipped through the cracks.
Not as many as World War I.
It was so easy to lie about your age back in the day.
It was harder in the 40s than it was in World War I, or certainly the Civil War, where you just showed up and, my town's Bible says I'm 18.
Meat grinder.
We're going to go back in time to late August 1944.
Okay.
And it's hot. It's the summer. American troops are marching into Paris. They've liberated the city.
It smells really bad. Hot French people everywhere.
They don't mind.
B.O.
They don't mind. Because it's about to get a whole lot hotter. You see, the brothels in Paris, and there were regulated brothels in Paris, had no idea.
Boys in blue were coming in.
When the Americans got to Paris. A lot of this is based on the research of historian Mary Louise Roberts. I think she is a professor of European history at the University of Wisconsin. From her book, What Soldiers Do, Sex and the American GI in World War II. France. I think she also wrote an article on this, which is a title so magnificent that I cannot. I'll just tell you what it is. The article she wrote on it was called "The Silver Foxhole: GIs and Prostitution in Paris, 1944 to 1945."
This is just 50 Shades with a military twist.
Yeah, I think she enjoyed researching this.
Enjoyed writing it.
Paris, as she notes, once the Americans got there, became the, quote, brothel of Europe, not only for the Americans as they liberated it, but after we liberated Paris. I'll give you one guess where everyone in the European theater took their fucking leave. It was Paris. Anytime you got a 48-hour leave from your unit, you go to Paris with a handful of money, some chocolate bars, a carton of cigarettes, and you're getting laid nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
What made matters worse for the brothels is that these already horny dudes with all this pent up anxiety and like just, trauma from having been in combat, horrible combat, their friends dying. So they need they need a release, like a happy release, an endorphin rush or whatever anyway. But at this point,
they just want the sweet embrace of a woman next to them.
By the time they got to Paris,
they're just cuddling so hard.
No, it gets so filthy. By the time they got to Paris, they had been convinced by their own country's propaganda arm that France, and Paris in particular, was just filled with sluts. Not whores. Yes, whores, but not whores. Obviously, you could pay for it. But all the French chicks were just down to fuck.
Is that propaganda or is that truth? Or does it lie somewhere in between?
I think it leans... Well, I'll get into it. But, I mean, obviously,
they have
French
a bit of a reputation.
I mean, look, are they more sexually liberated than 1940s America? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite memes going around lately, it's of just Sabrina Carpenter on stage in the lingerie like she's always in, and like the caption is just like, in World War II, your grandfather saw maybe one woman in his entire life that looked like this, and he drew her on his plane to go bomb Nazis.
That, or he would keep a little photo of her in his helmet.
Yeah. And like it's just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So these Americans, like they're not.
That's why nobody wants to die for their country anymore.
Yeah, because what are you gonna do now? It's I'd liberate Paris,
buddy. We have an opportunity for you.
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's go liberate Paris.
I'm not really into liberating Tehran. Paris all day, all day.
The Paris of the Middle East.
many call it that. Yeah. That's another reason I feel so bad for dudes in the Pacific. Like you're on some island rock that's heated to like 120 degrees. Your dead friends are getting eaten by crabs. And then like these dudes in Europe are just like, woo, 48 hours in Whore Island.
Dude, you came across like the Japanese whores, little classier broads, proper.
They never got to them. Now, and actually, I don't even think the Americans ever liberated Thailand either. I don't think we did that. So none of and Vietnam was occupied till the end of the war. So none of the sex spots in Asia, the Americans got to go to. They're just going to like shitty islands, and then the Philippines, I guess. Although they might have been a little too traumatized to have any fun. It's just like, I'm sorry, I can't really, I'm not really DTF right now. I watched my baby get caught on a bayonet in a game of catch the baby on the bayonet.
Mm-hmm. Turned into a shish kebab.
Yeah, I'm not going to be dating for a while.
Yeah, but it sounds like you no longer have responsibility. No child.
Come on,
a lot of
baby.
open time. You no longer have a breast because the Japanese soldiers
also cut that
it
off. Yeah. Not a great people at that time. So the U.S. troops arrived in France with legitimately high expectations, fueled by American wartime propaganda and training materials that portrayed France, and especially Paris, as a land of sexually available, hedonistic women.
And this is before we lost all our testosterone.
Yeah.
This is when good Americans had the ability to be rock hard.
Well, there might have been a T gap here, and we'll get to that.
They just walked into Paris, and they just had full-on rager.
Yeah.
Like, oh, excuse me, sorry, I didn't see you there.
All these high T dudes.
Just bumping into each other.
All these high T dudes.
Tip to tip.
All these high T dudes whose average height was 5'6" and average weight was 140 pounds.
Get some.
The highest T possible.
Who cares, dude? They're small, but that means it's easier to lift weights because your arms are shorter.
It's true. Look, I'm not saying they weren't tough bastards. They were. So the historian Roberts gained access to, I guess, previously secret archive material, which she says kind of portrays that D-Day was widely viewed in the U.S. Army as just like step one in getting to like fuckland.
Listen, that's our version of the 70 virgins.
It is, but you have to live.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
We do it right, though. We want the dirty, dirty sluts that know what they're doing.
Right.
You get up to heaven and there's 70 virgins waiting for you. That's a bad time.
That's a horrible time.
That's a lot of education that has to go on.
I mean, you're not having fun for years.
No.
At that point.
Eventually, maybe they'll get it down, but you're responsible for teaching them everything they know.
Everything.
I don't want that kind of stress in my life.
Then you don't get anything new that you didn't know.
No, nothing's gonna blow my mind. Everything's expected. Everything is just something I've already learned from somebody else.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
I'm just passing down information.
you get all these fucking, Protestant farm boys from Iowa and Minnesota and shit that are about to get their worlds rocked.
You have them Appalachian boys
Yeah. They never.
with no teeth.
They've seen one breast and it was their cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, there's just knowing this, there's no way that the Germans were going to repulse Operation Overlord.
They're drooling on the beaches of Normandy.
There's just like a guy shot. He's like, I can't move. I'm scared. Like, think of the pussy. Think of it. Go.
That's a motivating factor.
How was that not in Saving Private Ryan?
They're hiding the truth from us.
Yep. Well, that Robert said in her research, she was like, this is all sanitized from his, like, the Army wiped this from history, but it was prevalent in Army materials at the time. So she said, this is a quote from her. I went and looked at Stars and Stripes, which is the Army newspaper at the time. Actually, it might still be, but it was an Army newspaper. And what I saw there was an extension of the pinup culture. Photojournalism in particular was used to portray the French women as ready to be rescued, ready to greet the American soldier, and ready to congratulate him and thank him through a kiss or even more. Here's another thing Stars and Stripes did. So Stars and Stripes would have helpful tips for American soldiers in it. For example, they taught soldiers German phrases like Waffen niederlegen, Waffen niederlegen, which means throw down your arms, put down your gun. But they also taught the American soldiers French phrases. And the French phrases
Show us your tits.
and I am not joking, this was in Stars and Stripes. The French phrases they taught the American soldiers in Stars and Stripes, I only have the English versions, but were, you have charming eyes, I am not married, are your parents home?
Okay.
I don't think they taught them a phrase to say to a man.
Just step aside.
Get out.
You're not going to need this room.
Joe Weston, who was a journalist for life during World War II.
Sit in the corner.
Yeah, and we're going to get into how cucked French men felt during this because it gets bad.
Dude, they're still angry to this day about World War II.
Well, we'll get into that too.
The reason French society currently is so hostile towards Americans is because we straight up just put them in a cuck chair.
I'll just spoiler it. That is legitimately a conclusion that this historian comes to.
Like, we got to solve it for you guys.
God damn it, again. So Joe Weston, who's a journalist for Life magazine at the time in World War II, he wrote, France was a tremendous, the American soldiers believed France was a tremendous brothel inhabited by 40 million hedonists who spent all their time eating, drinking, and making love.
Mm-hmm.
And it also didn't help, I guess, the situation that the American side was also telling their own guys, like, you're the toughest, biggest, baddest motherfuckers in the world. You're men's men.
Nice dick, bro.
You got a great dick.
You fuck hard. And you fight hard.
Everyone's going to just be so impressed by you.
Depends on your accent, I suppose.
I don't think it does.
American boy.
Yeah.
They all think either New York or Texas.
Pretty much. Yeah. How bummed are you if you get like a California guy like, hey.
I think they're all right with that. It's a little bit more exotic than just a guy from Des Moines.
Yeah. Which is just, hi. How
Howdy.
are you? Hello. That's every American voice now, though.
Mm-hmm.
The accents are fading. We're homogenized.
Remember who you are.
Yeah.
Farm boy.
Warm. Keep it forever. So according to Roberts, sexual fantasies about France absolutely motivated American soldiers to fight harder. However, these same stories essentially made them treat their time in Paris and other places in France like it was fucking spring break. Like
Why wouldn't you? You could die at any moment.
I don't blame them. And she doesn't blame them either, by the way. She's kind of like, look, there's more to the story than you know, but obviously these guys went through a lot and needed to a release. But
What was the ratio of like time in battle and free time to fuck whores in World War II?
so there was, oh man, I remember reading it in Band of Brothers. There was, if they could manage it, typically a set amount of time you would be on a front line before you got rotated for a little bit, and then you would be rotated back. So I think like in Band of Brothers, Easy Company spent, man, maybe 50, 60 days in constant contact with the enemy, and that was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Then you got like a month off.
Well, they were supposed to. Actually, I think they did, because Market Garden ended. I think they got out of Market Garden in late October, early November, and then I think they were supposed to be chilling for a while, but the Battle of the Bulge happened, and they had to be like emergency deployed to Bastogne so they could get anyone to hold it. So they didn't get their full leave. In fact, a lot of trips to Paris got canceled.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
The biggest sausage fest imaginable. The Battle of the Bulge.
When the Americans got into France, obviously from landing, but certainly through Paris, immediately them and the French ladies hit it off. Much to the dismay of the French men, who were unable to compete with their well-fed, muscular, and here's the worst part, right? Okay, they're well-fed and muscular, but also because their economy's been shit for the last 4 years because they've been under Nazi occupation. The Americans have more stuff and money.
Madame, can I interest you in a baguette?
No, a fucking carton of cigarettes that isn't made out of straw.
That too.
That was a big thing. Barter cigarettes and chocolate.
Yeah, you want to smoke after you have sex.
But like real cigarettes. They weren't getting that?
Lucky Strikes?
Yeah, a lot of Lucky Strikes. That was the go-to. Many of the French assumed that their liberation would allow them to, regain their pre-war status as, I guess, first-class citizens, human beings.
Back of the line, boys.
But immediately just cucked, literally just kicked out of their own bedrooms. And the lesson they learned from all the Americans coming in and immediately taking all of their women was just like, well, we're no longer a superpower. Like, there's a new sheriff in town and he's banging my daughter.
You don't get to be invaded by Nazi Germany and be occupied for that many years and then immediately just kind of step back to the front of the line.
Yeah, I know. Think you're good. What do you think nothing changed?
Everything changed.
You think you could, bad
the
luck?
women, first off, are not going to look at you the same.
No one is.
They do not have any respect for you anymore.
No.
You lost the country.
And they were...
The fact that you're still alive and you didn't die defending that land, yeah, they're going to think less of you.
Look, credit to them. They're great in World War I. Fought hard as hell in World War I.
But dicks maybe caused World War II.
Oh.
With the implementation of all of their sanctions.
Yeah, Treaty of Versailles. Your little revenge fucking...
you know what's bad? When even Woodrow Wilson's like, yo, let's pump the brakes here, guys. This is a little harsh.
Yeah, the guy who resegregated the federal government was like, I think you're being a little unfair to this race over here.
Yeah. Woody boy.
Have you ever seen that picture of his teeth?
Never seen Woodrow Wilson's teeth.
Google it, guys. Google it. It's
actually the same as George Washington's teeth.
He looks like Nosferatu.
Ah, very pointy.
It's the grimmest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Listen, dentistry wasn't huge until probably the 50s.
No, even for the day, they said that's why he never smiled in pictures and stuff.
When did becoming a dentist really become a honorable profession? When did people start putting respect on dentistry?
Gotta think interwar between World War I and World War II.
Maybe then.
The 20s. Roaring 20s, I bet dentists popped off.
Either 20s or 50s.
I think, here's my theory. Dentists in the 20s, orthodontists in the 50s.
Correct that smile.
Yeah.
We'll clean your teeth in the 20s. Make sure that breath doesn't stink. 50s, they better be straight.
Yeah, let's fix part 2.
Fix that housewife smile.
Yeah. And your ratty children's horrible teeth. According to the French, the Americans were just absolute assholes. They were loud. They were shit-faced all the time. They were just like, there was no such thing as a speed limit. Like, they were just whipping their Jeeps around.
Never take your foot off the gas.
Yeah. They fought in the streets with each other or with French dudes constantly. They stole shit. In one part of France, I guess, when bars would run out of cognac, or booze in general, I guess, the soldiers would just be like, "Fuck this place," and just rip it apart.
Yeah.
Like, just destroy all the furniture, rip the bar out, break all the empty bottles.
It's an American tradition. A bunch of college-age kids getting hammered and just breaking stuff.
Yep.
It just sounds like fraternity.
A cafe owner in Le Havre, which was kind of the main port that Americans went in and out of once we secured the coast of France. He expressed the deep French disillusionment over American behavior when he said, "We expected friends who would not make us ashamed of our defeat. Instead, there came incomprehension, arrogance, incredibly bad manners, and the swagger of conquerors."
I bet they just went to the wineries and started rolling out the barrels.
Oh, my God.
Pop this open, boys.
We're going fucking bananas. I mean, in one of the episodes of Band of Brothers, the 9th or 10th episode, they are the ones that got Hitler's Eagle's Nest and the little resort town that was in.
Okay.
And I forget which really high up Nazi it was. It wasn't Hitler, but Captain Nixon, who was played by Ron Livingston from Office Space, the main character in Office Space.
Sure.
Okay. Anyway, he was a raging alcoholic, and his best friend was the main character, Major Winters. And he just like invites him in. He's like, come in here real quick. And he just like opens this like Nazi high commands like liquor cellar. It is just wall to wall, like priceless wine, like incredible bourbon, whiskey, whatever. And he's just like, "Yeah, I'm holding off all the rest of the guys for 20 minutes so you can take your pick."
Take the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine, Operation Iraqi Freedom. Just storming Saddam's palace. Just getting dibs of whatever you want.
I don't think he had like...
He had a lot of things.
I know, but like, you're not...
He had a lot of money. He had like millions of dollars in cash there.
I know, but I think you get in trouble if you take that.
Keep it on the hush hush.
You have to. Like, hey guys, this one duffel bag is gonna go missing.
You find a bunch of like gold-plated guns. He had artwork. There's so many things there. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the painting? He had like a horrible painting of maybe his son did it.
I love that Jack only took like a pillow.
I know.
He just has Saddam's pillow.
That's so fucking rad. I forget what I saw it shared, but it was like this horrible painting in Saddam's palace that I think like either his son did or like a friend did or something, and he just hung it up to be polite.
He actually also had a painting of Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
in a dress.
Yeah. Rural France, which was a lot more conservative, was perhaps even more shocked by this because American soldiers just thought the whole country was just dirty whores everywhere that they could bang.
It's on site, dude.
Anytime. On site.
You just whip it out.
So they would just go up to like the hottest chicks who were a lot of times the richest chicks in the region.
Dick out.
Immediately.
He's like, "Oh, you want to thank me? Here we go."
So they would just hit on these like rich, respectable women, a lot of times in front of their husbands, be like, "Hey, baby, what'd he do to save you? Nothing.
Nothing. I don't respect him.
Yeah, come on. Come on, girl. I'll be gone in a week."
He'd be gone in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't think they had a ton of stamina back then. They weren't trying to please the women as much.
Well, I don't think any of these guys had a lot of sex.
They were nutting
Instant
real
nut.
quick.
I think that's why so many of them were able to go through the brothels. It was a quick process.
Mm-hmm. Quick transactional thing.
Yeah. So Gabrielle Frette, she was a farmer's daughter, and she sees an American soldier who was literally, I think she saw him in combat, like shooting at the Nazis as they were running away. Sees this guy and is like, "God damn."
Think of all that semen retention.
Forget 60.
2 pump.
Yeah. Talking Insta.
They're coming in their pants before they even get inside.
Just a rub. Just a rub of the hand.
Yep. You see a breast, instant mess.
Yeah. You're like, just give me a bit. I'll go down on you and wait for it to come back.
Yeah, it never happens like this, I swear.
Yeah. But at least they're 20, though. They can get another erection.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she sees this guy like...
Although, they're all methed out. Maybe not.
That is true. So she sees a soldier, Bill Benson, fighting off the Nazis, and she's immediately like love struck. She's like, this guy's hot. I want him. They spend the next 2 weeks banging. And then Benson's unit, the 36th U.S. Infantry Division, moves forward, keeps going. And he leaves her with nothing but sweet memories of romance and a baby growing inside of her.
Good job.
Yeah. Michel Fret, who is now retired, he was born. He is that child, and they tracked him down and talked to him, and he goes, "They had a beautiful romance." Apparently, his mother never said anything bad about him. She was just like, "Yeah, he was great, but he didn't live here." So,
and I just decided to keep you.
Yeah. Michel Fret, 65 years later, tracked down Bill Benson to Houston, Texas. Met him when he was 91, less than a year before he died.
Up? Yeah, he was waiting the entire time. He's like, I got to see my son.
Yeah. He said that his father said France was a land of good living and happiness.
Did it rock the boat for the 91-year-old, or had his wife passed as well?
That's a great question. But he was even married when it happened.
Right. I get that, but you would still probably have some problems if some strange Frenchman approached you and, you're in your 90s.
Yeah.
You've lived this entire life with a man you thought you knew. He never told you about this kid.
But that's so easy to explain away, especially if you didn't know. It's like, I was 19. I thought I was going to die.
But just as you're on death's door, the love of your life suddenly just is a total stranger to you now.
Yeah. You never told me about having sex with the French. Why would I tell you?
I kept that close to the vest.
Yeah.
Those were memories for me.
Yeah. At what point? Yeah, it's like
that was in the spank bank.
It's like Tom Hanks, Same Private Ryan. No, that one I keep just for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you? At what point in a relationship do you think that was a good thing to bring up?
Probably first date.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I might have a love child with a French woman.
She's just like, actually, every American woman at the time, if they started dating a man after World War II who served in Europe, and he was awesome at sex,
just assume that he did.
Yeah, especially if he knew what he was doing.
Because that's what he learned from his time overseas.
Yep. Great around a gun, great around a vagina. But Fret's mom, Gabrielle, she never had any ill will. She was like, he saved our country, and he was very handsome.
Europeans in general, I feel like, are way more low maintenance and chill.
Some of them, I get served a lot of reels of dudes who are married to Eastern European chicks and about how mean they are to them.
They're mean, but they don't really expect much.
No, the mean part is the expect much. I see a bunch that are Eastern European chicks are why are we so poor? You don't make enough money. We'll get you a new job. And they're like, why are you being so mean? I'm not being mean. I'm motivating you. You don't make any money. You're not successful. Nobody.
Yeah, but those bitches are loyal as hell.
True.
They're not running around.
They're not going anywhere.
The French women are.
Well,
the Eastern Europeans aren't.
French men, too, for that matter.
Yeah.
And again, like you alluded to earlier, all of this happening created genuine animosity between the French and the Americans that stuck around because we cucked them. We legitimately came in, and for a little while, we didn't keep them, but for a little while, just stole all of their women.
And their booze.
And their booze. They just had to sit there and kind of take it because they were helpless.
They had to smoke cigs and just go, I don't care.
And, I think that's how Albert Camus lost his love of life. He was just watching some chick he get banged by the 8th GI that day, and he's just nothing matters.
That's actually why The Stranger, he killed somebody.
Yeah. This is all stupid. None of this is important.
None of this matters.
And some GI's yeah, you keep telling yourself that, buddy. These loud Americans don't know anything. I know we had to win a war for you, douchebag. All right, I'm done. Didn't take that long.
We always have this nice trade-off with the French where they're like, you're not independent from the English without us. And we kind of come back with the whole, we saved your ass in both world wars.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely in the second one.
And then we just cover up their entire mess in Vietnam.
Yeah, that was their fault. I don't even know why they went back. It's not yours anymore. It got taken. You can just get it back.
No. And we have a pretty loveless relationship with the French.
I think that's why, especially after Vietnam, they were like anti every American war because they were like, we know what you did. We know what you did.
They don't want us to be heroes again.
No. They're tired because they know what we're like when we win wars. Like they're the worst fucking winners on earth.
Mm-hmm. They're going to just spike the football and plow our women.
Paris, for years, had a fully legal, regulated brothel system, like state inspected, completely legal, and a lot of it was aimed to just keep prostitution safe and limit, STDs and stuff like that. During the German occupation, the brothels stayed open, and there were about 20 upscale brothels in Paris.
They're the safest women to have sex with.
The safest?
Safest. They're inspected. They get tested.
Yeah. I mean, you're not getting pregnant, probably.
And if they do get pregnant, they're flushing that down the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're taking a tea.
That would be maybe... I wonder if it's happened. Like the funniest WNBA in-season storyline. Like Caitlin Clark gets an abortion because she's in a playoff run.
Definitely in college sports. National championship.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe a volleyball player.
I think a Kentucky player, well, she came to full term and like killed her baby because she didn't. That might have been
because she kept playing.
That might have been a cheerleader
and shaking
actually.
The baby.
I don't fucking know, but yeah, she's going to jail. Real quick before we keep going, we do have some ads. First up is Prize Picks. The NBA playoff push is here. Today was the last day of the regular season, so we're gonna have the full layout of the brackets tomorrow for the NBA playoffs, which is one of my favorite times of year. I love the NBA playoffs. There's no better way to cash in on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, America's #1 sports pick app. Every bucket, every dime, and every win means more when you are playing on Prize Picks. So don't pass up your next shot with Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. You download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code SOFTCORE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SOFTCORE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup on Prize Picks. So what you do is you mix and match players and kind of decide whether they're going to have more or less of a certain statistic. Now, the playoff matchups aren't fully set yet, so I don't have any predictions on those. I'm going to look through that. Got Kevin Durant, Jokic. Jokic is always a more for me, right? Jokic is always, whatever the number is, I'm taking more on a Jokic stat because he's insane. SGA points, more on that almost certainly. But what's cool about Prize Picks is that you don't have to do just one sport. You can mix and match across sports, which is really cool. And I was looking at baseball because I'm a big baseball guy. And most of the games are over as we record this tonight, but they already have the stuff up for tomorrow, like way before. You don't have to wait till the morning or anything like that, which is sweet. And I'm seeing an interesting one. Paul Skeens, 1.5 earned runs allowed, more or less. He's playing the Washington Nationals, who you might think, oh, they stink or whatever, and they probably do. They're not going to make the playoffs, whatever. They have been mashing lately. Absolutely mashing. Now, do I think Skeens is going to get rocked? No. But do I think the Nationals are hot right now and are going to score 2 runs in the first 6 or so innings? Absolutely. Has to be earned runs, but most of the time it's earned. I'm taking Paul Skeens allowing more than 1.5 earned runs allowed. I'll build my lineup off of that, but I think that's an interesting one, and I kind of like it a lot. The Nats are doing some work right now. Prize Picks, though, it's simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in. And again, they have all your favorite sports: baseball, basketball, hockey, UFC, soccer, tennis, golf, whatever. Prize Picks now has early payouts as well. So if you set a whole lineup and maybe like your last guy in the lineup is like a little sketchy, maybe you weren't vibing on that one a ton, you can cash out early. You can take what you want and go home and it's all good. You can get an early payout. Prize Picks is also cool because they have social feeds, a social feeds feature, so you can share your Prize Picks with your friends. You can also copy lineups from dudes who are really good at it, so you can essentially just trail them. You can just take their picks and that, if you don't know what you're doing, but you're kind of interested in it, that's a great way to go. It's super fun, super easy to do. And on PrizePicks, how you play is up to you. If you want flexibility, you can choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. But if you want the biggest payouts, you go for the Power Play. But you can still get an early payout on Power Plays. So no matter how you play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use the code SOFTCORE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SOFTCORE to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. So the brothels in Paris, the Germans, the high scale ones were reserved for German officers and other like actual French cucks, their collaborators who were like, yes, we will help you, run our country that you conquered. No problem. Mm-hmm. I love Germany. Yeah. So they were allowed to use the nice brothels. And the brothels did really well under Nazi occupation. They were now getting medical checks from the German army.
That's efficient.
Yeah.
That's very detail-oriented.
Never been cleaner.
No.
Never been cleaner.
Listen, the Nazis didn't do everything wrong.
They were inefficient people. It's really where they pointed their efficiency that was the issue.
When it came to just sheer production,
yeah.
Who did it better?
They did what they set out to do. So the brothels were still working well under German occupation, but when the Americans get there, the entire brothel system is shattered, just complete overload, because the American army...
Too many loads.
Yeah, overload. The American army doesn't work that way. I think even the British army to some extent works that way, but the American army, it's not like... there are officers' clubs and the officers have nicer dining areas and stuff like that, but there's no class system to it, really. Like, it's just like, hey, I ain't on duty.
You get a nicer piece of ass if you're higher up.
If you're German, not if you're American. You do if you have more money. So if there's like an officer who was in college and had a degree in some, Wall Street job or something, yeah, he can put down the money to get a nice, but it's all pay. It's not a status thing.
Well, yeah.
So Roberts noted that the entry of the Americans into Paris transformed sexual commerce. The brothels were overwhelmed, which ironically, and we'll get to it a little bit later, collapsed the entire legal prostitution framework in France. Essentially, prostitution became illegal after World War II in France because they say it was because of the Germans. Like, oh, the brothels were collaborators. We just need to make it illegal. But really, a huge part of it was what the Americans did once they got there for the next year and a half.
They were saying they were like the little sparrows that were giving intel to the Nazis.
No, they were just giving comfort to the enemy. Not aid, but comfort.
Okay, they weren't collecting intel, though?
If anything, they were collecting intel for the fucking
you would think
resistance.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like beneficial to have against the Germans. You get to have a little pillow talk.
Yeah.
They get a little loose with their words because they're feeling such bliss.
Yeah, you give them some extra wine. Oh, you're so brave. You're so strong, German man. Tell me, what are your plans next to be so strong? And then he's like, yeah, I'll tell this fucking hooker. I don't care.
The Germans aren't like that.
No, they're not. There will be no talking.
Location, time.
Yeah.
What they're doing.
Yes, we will be...
It's just bullet point after bullet point.
Yeah.
You don't have to really weave through all the fatty meat.
No. We be counterattacking in cow country in 3 days. I'm tired of talking to you. Let us move on.
Very straight to the point people.
They really are. One army report from World War II, like during that time period, estimated that 80% of single soldiers and 50% of married soldiers fucked while they were in Europe.
Kind of feel bad if you're not getting your dick sucked back then.
I'm sorry, but if you're in an apocalypse level war...
What a nerd if you just held out.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
Doesn't even matter if you got a sweetie back home. You could die at any moment. You need that comfort. You're allowed to have the spoils of war.
This means, by the way, there's a 1 in 2 chance my grandpa cheated on my grandma.
Oh, he certainly did. With many women. It wasn't just 1. It wasn't 2. It wasn't 3. Your grandpa was getting after it. But you can't blame him. And neither can your grandma.
He already had a child at that point, too, my Uncle Rob.
He dies in action. They're taken care of, right?
Yeah, all the soldiers had life insurance.
So there you go.
Yeah.
If he wants to dip a toe into a French prostitute, so be it.
That'd be a funny thing to use a time machine for. Just go track down my grandpa on leave in Paris in 1944.
And by toe, I mean his nose into her ass.
Yes. Yeah. All kinds of stuff they couldn't imagine.
And he was doing things that he would never disrespect your grandma with.
No, things you can't do with a nice Irish-American lady.
It's very vanilla. It's down the line.
Yeah. And he just thinks about that 17-year-old French girl.
Just say 19.
Okay, the 19-year-old. It doesn't matter. I'm just trying to make it as depraved as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Because these dudes were all over the place.
He was a hero.
Yeah, he was.
Sorry my grandparents didn't serve in World War II. They did Korea, the Forgotten War.
The Forgotten War.
So they get no credit.
Was he even in Korea?
Yeah.
Like the one who fixed planes, he was fixing them in South Korea?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if he served during the Korean War, but was fixing
No,
planes.
he wasn't just chilling in Germany.
Oh, I thought Japan is what I meant.
No.
Because those guys they're our bases in Japan and stuff were supporting the war, so I don't know.
Honestly, I didn't really talk to him about it. So maybe.
Yeah, he was in Japan.
He was in Korea.
No, I'm just fucking with you.
Best time of his life. Just playing basketball, fixing planes.
Another thing that happened because of this is that hooker prices soared. The demand was insane. The market will do what the market will do.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
No, fucking an hour ago's price is not now's price. Also, so again, prostitution in Paris at this point was legal, but it was in brothels, right? It was in regulated brothels. But all the horny Americans getting there made street prostitution explode overnight. They had red light districts where the brothels were and stuff, but now they were just hookers on the corner. Like, I'm good to go. Let's go. A lot of French women, including a lot who had not previously worked as prostitutes, started working as prostitutes because the country was destroyed. There were food shortages, and the American soldiers, the GIs, they had money. Like I said, they had cigarettes, and they had food. And they could use the first two to buy things on the black market. The French women could.
Mm-hmm. And also be fed.
What?
And also be fed.
Exactly. The soldiers, there, and a bunch of impromptu brothels got set up as well. So there were the normal brothels. Then a bunch of people were just like, yeah, my house is a whorehouse now. And then there were just women on the street who were like, yeah, you can come back to my apartment.
They actually started doing a delivery service of cunt.
Fucking probably. At some of these places, this sounds like a nightmare to me. This is not a line I would wait in. There were lines around the block.
I don't want to be the guy around the block.
You're like, okay, I counted
There's 50 guys in front of me.
Yeah, I counted 300 guys in line. How many women are in there? 9?
They showering? They bathing?
They do it.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll come back tomorrow morning.
She's still got a little something on her mouth.
It's not even, yeah. There's no cleanup.
Next in line.
Yeah. On September 2nd, 1944, the U.S. Provost Marshal toured the Paris brothels to get a look at it after word had gotten out. And military police later posted many of the brothels as off limits to Allied troops because, believe it or not, once they got into Paris especially, the U.S. Army became somewhat crippled with STDs.
Yeah, I believe it, bud.
They didn't, I don't know if this is true, but it feels like they were running out of penicillin to treat infected wounds because everyone's dick was falling off.
It's like, son, sorry, that's going to be a casualty of war.
Can you imagine? You're like, I'm sorry, sir, my My unit's only 60% combat effective. 40% of the unit has syphilis.
The units have lost their units.
0% effective. And by the way, can you imagine that being your job in the war?
Giving out penicillin shots?
No, closing down brothels.
Everyone's going to hate you.
I was say, what did you do in the war?
You're the
Grandpa?
most hated man in probably the armed forces.
Like, well, fun fact. A lot of people think American soldiers hated Hitler the most. It turns out they hated your old grandpa even more.
Yeah, but there's some like self-righteous religious dude that was just beating up shops.
Oh, there definitely were. Like,
just closing everything down.
Like, this ain't right, y'all.
This is unholy.
Like, why don't you just try it, Jimbo?
Oh, they're getting some on the side, but, on the low.
Yeah.
Can't be doing it, flaunting it in the open.
Yeah.
Not in front of God's eyes.
So they closed them down. They closed the brothels down to, quote unquote, maintain moral standards. But really, they were just like, we can't keep losing dudes to STDs.
What if we lost World War II because people were just falling left and right to the clap?
What would be the most crippling STD in combat? I guess herpes.
Genital warts just exploding everywhere.
You just have like a raw crotch.
Crabs.
I think you could deal with crabs.
Herpes for life.
Herpes for life, and the herpes is a stress induced thing. So if you fuck a French girl and get herpes, you're gonna have, and then you got to go to the front. You got to go to Bastogne.
It's only gonna get worse. Yeah.
Immediate breakout. Immediate. The crabs, obviously they don't have shampoo on the front lines, but I don't know. Maybe right before you ship out, you can just pour like a bottle of vodka on your crotch. Try to flush them out.
Let it burn.
The army did hand out extra condoms because they were like, for the love of God, I know we can't completely stop you from doing this, but please put a fucking condom on. And I got to think.
They're just RAs at a dorm.
Yeah.
Here's a fishbowl of condoms.
The cheapest, worst condoms. Like, they're not Trojans.
Be safe.
It's like gas station brand condoms. That
They got them in bulk.
Yeah. Horrible condoms. I remember seeing the fishbowl and being like, I'm not putting this on. Like, I'll wear a condom if a girl has, but like, not this one. Good Lord.
Yeah, this doesn't even feel like it's offering us protection.
No, it feels like an immediate snap. I actually, one time, me and my fraternity brother were going to the gas station to get like cigarettes and stuff, and he had a girlfriend at the time, and he comes out with cigarettes and some condoms, and I noticed, I was like, man, you bought the cheapest fucking condoms they have.
He's like, I got a strategy to it.
He goes,
she's going to see it. She's going to be like, no point.
Well, potentially, but I'll
throw them away.
I was like, dude,
go raw.
I bet these things are useless. You're going to get her pregnant, man. And he goes, nah, I bought them before. It's fine. Anyway, he got her pregnant like a month later.
Mm-hmm.
So either you're right or I'm right. But the end result was that he now has like a 20-year-old child.
They probably gave her a rash, and she told him, just take it off.
Yeah. This is horrible.
Yeah.
This is worse for me than it is for you, and I'm sure it's terrible for you.
Nobody's enjoying this at all. But condoms for soldiers, I'm sure not a single one of them used it.
No.
Ain't no way.
Now.
Also, condoms in the 40s.
Oh, I know, right?
What are those like?
That's just a latex glove.
At least it's latex and not like an animal skin.
Actually, hold on. Let me look. They might have been literal rubber, actually. What were condoms in the 40s?
Would have been a good excuse for Muslims and Jews back then.
Yeah.
Sorry, can't have the pork touch my pork.
They, it was latex. It was latex by then. So they were using latex condoms, although they were still referred to as rubbers. But they did have rubber condoms as well. So
imagine being in Leopold II's wake for all those rubber plants, and they just became condoms.
Yeah. That's all it was. All those poor Africans had to die so that we could have horrible condoms
So we could have the worst version.
of sex possible. Was there no one Leopold tortured?
Thank you, Belgium.
Yeah. Shitty ass country. So there was talk potentially of like maybe we should set up U.S. military run brothels just to get this under control.
Bring our own whores.
No. You'd still contract the Frenchies, but
No, we got to import the whores.
it was not finding them in America. And I
That's
don't
right.
think
They're working the factories.
yeah. Rosie doesn't want to rivet that.
Dude, she's flexing so hard because she's just jerking off so many soldiers.
Just yeah.
Building those muscles up.
Janie the Jerker.
Jenny the Jerker would have been more realistic.
However, despite the fact that they didn't want to do this, there was one general in the U.S. Army that set up his own brothel to try and get things under control.
Patton.
No, I wish. It was General Charles H. Ghart of the 29th Infantry Division, which, by the way, is famously portrayed in Saving Private Ryan. Most of the guys on the beach are in the 29th Infantry. They have the yin-yang with the blue and gray.
And it was the grandfather of Stanford running back great Toby Ghart.
Toby Gerhardt's grandfather. So
Should have won the Heisman.
he set it up in Brittany in 1944, not in Paris, in Brittany, France. It was called the Blue and Gray Corral because their symbol was blue and gray.
That's pretty to the point.
Yeah.
Get a little creative with this.
General
Brothel.
Apparently General Bradley heard about it so fast that and ordered it closed. So like he heard about it and was like, absolutely fucking not.
The first guy got blue balls. That's how quick it was.
It was open for 5 hours. It immediately got shut down. The sign out front.
She's like mid-stroke. Come on, can she finish?
Yeah, he's like, I'm finishing. I don't care. Fucking court-martial me. I'm not doing this.
Hang me. Shoot me.
There was a sign out front of the Blue and Gray Corral that General Ghart personally approved himself that read, the Blue and Gray Corral, riding lessons, 100 francs.
That might fly in World War One, not in the Second World War.
Like, what? There's no horses here.
We're not doing cavalry charges in World War II. Why are we learning to ride horses?
It's outrageous. French civilians and officials, again, had mixed reactions about the Americans. The initial excitement of being liberated was great, and there were legitimate like romances that happened, but the sheer scale and quickness of how much the Americans were fucking pissed them off. Again, in Le Havre, which was the port city that Americans went in and out of. So this is what the real problem was, is that Le Havre was basically full of American soldiers that had either just gotten to France and heard about all the French stuff, or guys who were heading home for good who wanted to get one last
rodeo.
Yeah, before they got out. So Le Havre was like the city of desperation fucks, essentially. Like everyone was like, I got to get one more, or I got to get my first. The citizens of Le Havre were furious because there wasn't even time for brothels. Like people would just be out on walks and see American soldiers fucking prostitutes in public parks, in cemeteries, just straight up in the street, in bombed out buildings. Like kids were just like, parents were walking with their kids and they would just turn a corner and there'd be a GI with his pants down just railing some French prostitute.
Just a French ghost shaking his head as you're boning on top of his headstone.
Yeah, they were fucking in cemeteries.
That seemed to be a big thing back in the day.
It was for like superstitious reasons. This was only out of necessity.
Straight up laying pipe in a cemetery.
No one's there. The Germans actually, under the reign of Adolf Hitler, I think this happened in World War II, but I think it happened a lot like early and maybe right before World War II, where German soldiers were encouraged, and Germans in general were encouraged to take their girlfriends or wives and go fuck in like military cemeteries or cemeteries where like brave German historical figures, warriors, soldiers were buried, so that a little piece of their soul would attach to their unborn child that they conceived that night and make them like brave and strong.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds totally
It's legit.
legit.
Yeah, 100%. One American soldier described getting to Le Havre. He goes, when we got to Le Havre, we saw girls lining up near the camps like they were selling wares at a market. That was war, and we didn't know whether to laugh or cry.
So we did both.
Yeah, pretty much. It got so bad that the mayor of Le Havre wrote to U.S. commanders. He was begging them, like, please set up your own brothels. For the love of God, they are fucking in the streets. And my citizens cannot handle it. Like, we're French.
I'm trying to work. Nah, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
French don't work.
No, they're like, we're French, but we're not that fucking French. Like, come on. Like, please do your own. But the Americans refused because they were like, dude, if we set up whorehouses for our soldiers, like the public is going our public is going to shit their pants. Like the wives of soldiers, like everyone is fucked if we open brothels.
Yeah, keep it off the books.
They did. And this stuff, they made sure that this stuff did not get home. And if it did, they were like, oh, it's all made up. But it was all absolutely happening. 1 in 2 married men banged while they were in Europe.
And that's a low conservative number.
It probably is. It's probably a low ball.
The other half died before they could.
100% of married men who did not die in World War II had sex in Europe.
Sounds accurate.
Yeah. A lot of American military officials.
I mean, think about it. It's apocalyptic sex.
It is.
It's end of the world sex.
It's the comet is fucking coming.
Get your rocks off.
Yeah. So when the mayor of Le Havre complained and was like, please, this is horrible. Please make it stop. A lot of American military officials, they just didn't take him seriously because they were like, what? Come on, you're French.
Shut up, nerd.
No, not the opposite. They were like, what are you talking about? You guys fucking public all the time. You're French, right? That's what I heard.
Get it, dude? Yeah.
That's what I heard. Come on.
Hey, you drink, right?
Yeah.
It's 9 a.m. Here you go.
They're like, I mean, it takes 2 to tango. Clearly, French.
Take it to the dome.
The French are doing it. They're not doing it with American chicks. They're doing it with French chicks. Clearly, you guys are down. Come on.
You got to live up to your reputation.
Yeah. And like I said, all of this insane fucking over the course of like literally just 2 years, more or less, torpedoed the French prostitution industry, and it was made illegal as soon as the war was over. They completely outlawed it.
It's never the same.
They were like, never again. This is horrible.
Sorry, they hate capitalism so much.
Well, we ruined French prostitution.
Yeah, but they're making money hand over fist.
My God.
We single-handedly maybe brought their economy back.
I want to know what the gender pay gap was in 1945 in France.
Men were making significantly less money.
Way less. But yeah, that's all I got today on how I guess my grandpa was a dirty slut.
Yeah. Shouts to this lady from Wisconsin. That did the reporting.
Roberts, I think it was. I'll shout her out again. I mean, there were other sources too, but she was kind of the main one.
And you know she's just digging deep because of those harsh winters up there in Madison.
Oh yeah, got to stay warm somehow.
Why not stay warm from the fires ignited between the American soldiers and the
Yeah.
French prostitutes?
Mary Louise Roberts. She touched on some other stuff too, but that wasn't as fun to talk about, so I left it out.
Ah, yeah.
Didn't want to get into, but
That was probably to be expected.
yeah.
Not, everyone is great in
No.
the Army.
No. I would still say though, even though that was covered up quite a bit, that quite a bit.
Kind of touched that in the movie Fury.
A little bit. That was
There's
awkward.
like an implication.
There wasn't a huge implication. Dennis Reynolds could never.
No. I think Pitt was just kind of looking their way, just like, that's war, baby.
What you want to do? What you want to do? What'd you learn today?
I don't know if I ever thought about this in my entire life, but it makes sense that this would be, of course, what actually happened.
But my favorite part is that part of the American, like, let's go liberate France is like, bros, you are going to get laid so
hard,
goddamn much if you just fight hard and get to Paris.
Yeah, it's good motivation to storm those beaches of Normandy and take that machine gun fire.
You are absolutely like braving machine gun fire for that. Just think of the sex. Just think.
All of man's innovation, all of our courage, it's usually always inspired by getting laid. That is a huge factor in where we are in the world today.
Humongously so, yeah. People didn't build pyramids to not get laid.
Especially when you're younger.
Yeah.
Eventually when you're older, you kind of lose steam, but you've already given up on your dreams.
19, 21.
Young, dumb, and full of cum.
You are literally storming machine gun nest after machine gun nest.
Yeah, I'll take that charge.
Yeah, all day.
For a French prostitute threesome. Let's go.
I wonder if they're like single guys where it's like, come on, man, you're married. You're not going to do it anyway. You go first.
It's like, you got everything to live for.
Who's today's Hitler?
Probably the guys that had to shut down the brothels.
Yeah.
They were seen as Hitler adjacent.
I kind of at least like to grant them a little humanity and think that they were like Gary Oldman at the end of The Dark Knight when he has to shatter the bat signal and he doesn't want to.
No. I'm not giving them any. These were just boners that, even at war, could not get their rocks off.
Yeah.
Even if they had to pay for it.
Truly our greatest villains in the Second World War.
Yeah, they were our greatest villains, I think, Rob.
Yeah.
Not anybody we actually fought.
No.
It was the enemy within.
Oh, that's all I got today on Americans ruining prostitution in France. Just a bunch of freshmen on spring break.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm glad we went with this instead of my Patreon episode, which I still think will be good, but didn't necessarily have these themes in it.
The lurid details of...
No. This is more our speed anyway.
Yeah.
So put it out to the masses. Maybe they'll find us. Maybe we'll grow.
Who knows?
We'll grow like a 19-year-old American soldier.
It's so funny just to think of like, go look at pictures of the U.S. soldiers marching through France. And they've got to just, like through Paris, I mean, on the Liberation Day. And they've got to just be like, when is this over? Like, when is this stupid parade over? I got to fucking get in there.
Well, they were all just grabbing each other on the streets and making out, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there were people getting after it on the streets. You didn't get to see those photos.
No. Life didn't publish that.
Mm-mm. But there were plenty of people in back alleys.
Going bananas.
On other back alleys.
Yep. Probably the first time most of those Americans had doggy style. American
women were given doggy.
I don't know, man.
They weren't just only having missionary sex like you and your wife.
It's just more intimate. Although I like in Training Day how Denzel Washington talks about how missionaries almost like better. He's like, got a young, pretty wife. I bet you still fuck her face to face.
He's like, I don't miss.
He's like, I don't fuck my wife face to face anymore.
But also, he's just like, you want a boy? I don't miss.
Yeah. Yeah. Also true. If you need a boy,
Rob doesn't miss.
I don't miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got for today on this topic. Thank you so much for listening. Please leave us 5 stars on Apple and Spotify. Leave a review on Apple.
Yeah, you want to read a couple reviews?
Oh, sure. We do.
Here. We had a few that we just never got to. So I will start with the first one. Somebody left this review 3 weeks ago. If you read this on the pod, put in ... I have a crush on a guy who's obsessed with this show. I started listening because he's cute and I wanted him to like me, but kept listening because it's genuinely entertaining. Great vibes, 5 stars. Update. We got an update on this. Almost 4 months later, and I don't listen as much. Boo. Boo. Oops. But still 5 stars because now he's my boyfriend. Trent is obsessed with y'all, and I love him. So what he loves, I love. Great show. LOL.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Emma Osi.
Yeah, Emma, why don't you listen more?
Yeah,
when you get those numbers up.
What's going on here?
4.9. I'd rate it 5, but Dan keeps talking about pop and top, but always has an excuse. Talk is cheap.
Fair.
Body's not ready yet. It will be soon. Wait for the summer.
Yeah. Oh, here's our 1-star review. If you're going to pander with Epstein content, don't dismiss it.
Yeah, dog. Answer for your crimes, Rob.
Oh. I don't dismiss it. I just can't bring energy to it.
One more. Softcore is perfect for both the history nerd and casual. The boys bring great, underrated stories to the limelight. Even my wife, who is not a history nerd, laughs and enjoys the podcast.
Hell yeah.
And then there was also just a great podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast. So leave a 5-star review. We'll get to more when you leave them.
Yep. Thank you. Love you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I got for today.
Subscribe to the YouTube, Patreon.
Yeah. All the stuff. Well, for Dan Regester, I'm Rob Fox.
You just got soft serve.